Okay, we're getting ready to add in the shellback, whatever material you're going to use for this. This is actually an optional step. Most of my flies, I do not even use a shellback. We're going to come in and we're going to trim the shellback. Let me do it to where there's a little bit of a angle. Some people like to do this, so I want to show this to you. Actually, I typically do not tie in a little tag, but some people seem to find it easier. So once we get that little tag tied in, go ahead and bring it back. Make sure you get it tied down good. Next thing I'm going to show you, this is for durability, but it slows down the tying process. This is fingernail polish, and it's a brand called Sally Hansen's, and the particular one is hard as nails. A lot of fly tyers use this for head cement. If you have other head cements, you can use it as well. If you're not too impatient and you're tying and you want a much more durable fly, you can take the head cement and add a little bit on top of the lead, one that locks that in, and if you tie quick enough, it will essentially glue the dubbing to the lead, so as the fish grab it, it doesn't pull off. The dubbing wax, I do not apply it to my thread because it's too sticky. I just put a little bit on my fingers so I can grab the dubbing. Now we're going to get started with the dubbing. Kind of get it pulled out flat. And then as you get it pulled out flat, then grab it around the line before you start spinning it. And if you struggle with dubbing, get someone in the club to have you practice it. Most people in the beginning start out by putting way too much dubbing on. You want to add some strength by having a lot of thread that you can wrap the dubbing around and help hold that dubbing on, because the teeth on the fish will even cut through the monofilament sometimes, and your fly will last a lot longer. Okay, bring your thread to the front. Then we're going to bring your shell back over and pinch it down so that you can hold it in place on each side. Bring your thread up. Use what's called a pinch wrap, where if you can see it, I'm grabbing the thread up between my fingers, and then I'm coming down and I'm pulling that down. And you'll notice I've got one little thread, so if I just ease up on that thread, everything's going to come apart. Well, I'm going to hold some tension on that while I kind of adjust that to where I want it. And I'm going to adjust it a little bit towards me as I start to wrap my mono around it. It will have a tendency to torque away from me, so I'm going to start out a little bit angled to my side. Now that we got a couple wraps on there, we're going to cut that off. Now we're going to use a ribbing. The ribbing, I usually take one wind in the back to get started. I find that I get neater segmentation later, and usually going for 4 to 5 segments. And remember, this mono is slick, so when you get ready to lock it in the front, take a couple wraps alternating, one in the front, one in the back, and then once you get a couple of them locked in, then you can trim it off. Build you a little bit of a head there, and then you can, if you use a whip finisher, you can use a whip finisher, and I usually do 2 whip finishes with about 3 rotations or so on a fly such as this, where I'm not worried about buildup. And then clip it off, and there is your Sowbug and or scud imitation that is a good fly and a standard fly to have if you go fish the North Fork or White Rivers in Arkansas. All right, I'm going to turn it over.